Excelentíssimo Sr. Presidente do EuroAmericas Fórum, Dr. José Manuel Durão Barroso, Excelentíssimo Sr. Presidente da Câmara de Cascais, Dr. Carlos Carreiras, Excelentíssimo Sr. Presidente da Direção do Conselho da Diaspora Portuguesa e nosso anfitrião, Dr. António Calçada de Sá, magnífico reitor da nova School of Business and Economics, Professor Dr. Pedro Oliveira, distinguished attendees from Europe and the Americas, dear ambassadors, bon dia, good morning. It is a pleasure to be here today with so many distinguished guests, and let me start giving to you my apologies for being late, but the life of a foreign minister in the current geopolitical situation is not compatible with a very, very tight agenda. And then I'd like to start also by congratulating everyone who contributed to organizing this event. It was and it is a great idea, and I hope it bears much fruit in the future. This being said, I'm not going to read my speech, but only to give you 2 or 3 main views and to give you 2 or 3 main remarks. First, let me say that in the Euro-America relationship, the relation between Europe and the Americas, Portugal has a quite relevant and unique role. And I use to say, in my own definition, what is Portugal? Portugal is an island surrounded by sea and Spain. When I say that we are an island, what I want to mean is that we are just a platform between Europe, Americas, and Africa. We are Atlantic. We are essentially Atlantic. We are in the middle of the Atlantic. And so Portuguese diaspora, Portuguese enterprises, Portuguese authorities, they have in their own DNA this vocation to unite, to link, to connect Europe and the Americas, and I should add, because I was also here in the Euro-Africa Forum, Africa. We are living a geoeconomic and geopolitical moment where we are shifting from transnational diplomacy to transactional diplomacy. And this is something that is, by one hand, worrying, but with a very realistic approach, it is the environment where we are invited to act. When we speak about transactional diplomacy, of course, that normally we are thinking about bilateral relations. But we can think also about relations between different blocs. They are also transactional. That's why it is a quite, I'd say, inspirational achievement, the conclusion of the negotiations between European Union and Mercosur. It is a rather transactional exercise that has taken 25 years to be concluded. And that means if there is a political validation from the Mercosur side, and especially from the European Union side, this will transform the relationship between South America and Europe. And this can be also an incentive to the tendency that comes also from transactional diplomacy, to protectionism, to nationalism, to nativism. Because it's going to compete, probably, a more hostile economic relation in the north of the Atlantic. It is going to compete with a much more cooperative and open relation in the south of the Atlantic. So this is something that we should really bear in mind. A second aspect is that we have to work on the construction, on the, I'd say, building of a community that can counterbalance the shift to the Indo-Pacific. The only way to have a balance of powers on geoeconomic and geopolitical terms at the global level is to have a kind of Atlantic community where trade, investment are free, where they are very, 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 I'd say, incentivized by the policies of different blocs like European Union, Mercosur, like NAFTA, and that really will create a new polarity on the global stage. I don't want to take you too much time, and so I'm really in my final remarks. But if you ask me, what is my dream as a politician that is now in charge of foreign relations of this Atlantic country, this Atlantic European country, my dream is to have a community that goes from the Antarctic to the Arctic, an Atlantic community, where we have a free trade zone between Africa, America, and Europe. If we are able to at least start the pillars of this dream of an Atlantic community, I'm sure that we are going to compensate, we are going to balance the present geopolitical weight of the Indo-Pacific. When you are speaking that we have to reduce our dependency on China, that is only possible if we have a community with Canada, United States, Mexico, Central America, Latin America, South America, but also with Africa. And as we have seen, and our chair, Durão Barroso, said, what is going on in Africa is also to bring not only the western coast of Africa, but the central and even the East Africa to the shores of West Africa, of the Atlantic. And this is a very, very significant, meaningful movement, because that can really create this new polarity. Of course, you can say this is a dream, but it was this event that shows as motto, crafting the future across the Atlantic. If you are crafters, you are able and you have the responsibility to transform dreams in reality. That is the challenge that I leave to you today. Thank you very much.